Hey guys, Better Gents Podcast here, and today I'm going to do a reaction video to the Courtney Michelle interview on the We Need to Talk channel. So let's go ahead and jump right in.
I was told by Kevin Samuels, he said the only thing that you would be able to do to change any woman's thoughts is just to get married.
Break that down.
This is what he said. He told me. He said, you're podcasting and you're saying these things, or you in the comments saying this. And he was like, the only thing, Courtney, that you're able to do to combat or to say what you're saying is true is to just get married.
Listen.
So Courtney Michelle is an advocate for traditional relationships, traditional gender roles in relationships and marriage. So she's an advocate for the man being the primary provider and protector, and the woman being the primary caregiver, nurturer, and caretaker. And so she gets a lot of pushback on her opinions, especially from other modern women. And so Kevin Samuels basically told her, listen, if you want to say these things and have people take them seriously, you need to practice what you preach and get married and be that traditional woman in a traditional marriage. And I do agree with that to some extent, right? I do think that if she were married and she, had that traditional role in that marriage and that's what she was advocating for, her opinions would hold a little more weight. But at the same time, I still think people can have an opinion on topics even if they're not living that life, right? As long as you educate yourself on the subject and you have valid talking points, educated talking points, I think it's fine to be able to voice your opinion on certain subjects. But let's go ahead and continue.
It's the message right here. Black boy, tell me how you really feel, cause I just wanna build with you. Black girl, tell me how you really feel. I wanna keep it real with you. I wanna live better, eat better. I wanna love better, sleep better. Yeah, I wanna feel so aligned.
I gotta say, I really love that intro. I think the We Need to Talk channel is fantastic. His formatting it's incredible. The quality is amazing. And I think he asks really pertinent and important questions. So let's go ahead.
I think unfortunately, too many of our women realize that when the manosphere would say it's too late, when you hit this thing called the wall.
The proverbial wall.
The proverbial wall. And you realize it when your sexual marketplace value is at its lowest. So what are your thoughts on the whole concept of the wall? And is it true?
So he mentioned a couple things there. He mentioned your sexual marketplace value, and he also talked about the wall. So your sexual marketplace value as a woman starts to decline once you hit the proverbial wall, as he called it. And the wall is basically the point in your life where your youth, beauty, and fertility start to decline, right? And typically, it's agreed upon that happens at around the age of 28 to maybe 32. It varies from woman to woman. And it's not a universal truth, but there is some truth to it. On a balance of probabilities, most women will their sexual marketplace value will start to decline as they get older. And that wall is the point of when their sexual marketplace value is on the decline. It's usually peaked at around, I'd say, age 19 to 24. That's when a woman's sexual marketplace value is at its highest. For men, it's different. Our peak happens much later in life as we start to make advancements in our career, make advancements in our passion, whatever it is that brings us success, makes us successful as men. That's when our sexual marketplace value is at its peak. And that typically happens for most men later in life. So for men and women, the SMV is inversed, right? Women have their highest sexual marketplace value when they're younger, and men have their highest sexual marketplace value typically at around midlife. But again, it's not universal. It does vary, but on a balance of probabilities, that is typically how it goes.
Is the wall true? Okay, so let's define the wall first. Okay, so the wall meaning when you get to a particular age, the sexual market value goes down. So the opportunities that you could have had with a particular man is not there anymore because of your age, because of your fertility, yeah.
Baggage.
Yes, yeah, it's true. So I think there is a wall. There's outliers, of course, but there is a wall. But when we have the conversations of the wall, it's as if walls can't be broken down. So the essence of the wall is, oh, you've hit it, and like you can't go through it. That I don't believe. Now, the way that you go through the wall might be a little different than how you can jump over it at 20. You know, you gotta chip out some stuff, but you can go through it. And I think that there's men that's willing to help you chip through that wall as well too. So I don't think, and I hate the whole.
So I'm gonna pause it there. She talks about a few things here. She talks about being able to jump over the wall at 20. I get what she's saying, but there's really no wall at 20. And she says that, you know, you can chip through the wall, you can break through. It's not a definitive thing, which is true, and it varies from woman to woman. She said that, and I agree with that. I said that earlier. But she also said that there's going to be men there that are going to help you chip away at that wall. And I think a lot of women have this idea in their head that there's always going to be a man there waiting for them, no matter what, which to some degree is true, right? However, is it going to be the man that you want, right? Or is it just going to be, you know, whoever's available at that time? Because again, as your sexual marketplace value declines, the likelihood of you getting that man that you want also declines. And so I wonder, you know, if she's going to talk about that at all, or if he's going to ask a question regarding that. But let's go ahead and continue.
The buy a dog, die alone thing. I get those in my comments a lot. I don't think that's true. I don't think anyone has to die alone, regardless of the age, regardless if they have a child. It's just willing to understand that you might have done some things and you have baggage that you got to unpack, and you have to do that work for yourself. And there's gonna be someone, and maybe that's my being a hopeless romantic, which I can take, but I just always feel like there is someone that's willing to not put up with your shit, but willing to be with you.
See, she said it again. There's going to be someone there who's going to be willing to be with you no matter what. Women have the luxury of thinking that way. Men, unfortunately, we don't ever get to think that. There's no one, if we, you know, wait too long, or we screw up, or we mess up our lives, whatever it is, men don't have the luxury of thinking that there's always going to be a woman there who will put up with it and just accept us for who we are. Only women have that luxury of thinking that way, and for the most part, it is true, right? A lot of guys will ignore a woman's past and to be with her, and so there's a precedent set there, and I can understand, you know, why women think that way. But let's go ahead and continue.
It might not be in the package that you want, but it's gonna be in the package that you need.
So she did just now recognize that there's probably gonna be someone there, but it's probably not gonna be in the package that you want. But she said the package that you need. That's debatable, right? Just because the guy is there and he's willing to accept you despite your past doesn't mean it's really what you need. It's just, he's just there.
And that's my only pushback, right? So whenever the wall argument is used, whenever I've seen it used, it's never you're 35, you're not gonna find anybody. It's you're 35, you're not gonna find that guy, right? Because what happens, and what tends to happen in our community, going back to earlier when you said you can't tell women anything, is you can definitely not tell them to compromise their standards.
Right.
And that's a great point. So yeah, he agrees that it's likely that you're going to find a guy, but it's probably not going to be that guy, that that top level guy that you want to be with, that you envisioned yourself being with. And he talks about lowering standards. That's not something that most women will consider ever doing, lowering their standards. And if you suggest that, it's really frowned upon to talk about lowering standards.
And they still feel deserving of what they would have qualified for at an earlier age with less baggage. So the wall really is just an accountability measure to say, either be willing to enthusiastically, like you said, chip away at those standards that you have, or you will have to die alone if you're unwilling to settle for the type of man that you actually qualify for.
And I like the way he put that. He said the wall is an accountability measure. I've never heard anyone phrase it that way before, and I think that's very accurate. At some point, there's going to be a point in a woman's life where she has to make a decision. Is she going to chip away at those high standards that she's had her whole life, and maybe be more accepting of a guy who doesn't fit that perfect mold that she had in mind? Or is she going to be okay with, the quote unquote, dying alone, which, I don't agree with that statement, but I understand the sentiment behind it.
So is that reasonable?
So, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and I guess there are men that are saying the wall is not saying that you can't get anyone. It's you're at a particular age and what you maybe could have had, you can't. And women do need to understand, and I think that's logically speaking, yes. I've seen some men that don't believe that. I've seen some men, and again, I have been told that because you are hit the wall over the wall, that you're going to die alone. Like, no man wants you. So maybe the majority of men say that, but I have been literally told that no one wants you because you're 39 and you have a daughter. Like, what man would want that?
Yeah, and again, I don't agree with that sentiment, that no man's gonna want her. Of course, there are men who are going to want her, and that's totally fine, right? But again, we're talking about being realistic about the kind of guy who's going to want you, right? That top tier guy that you think you deserve, or that a lot of women think they deserve, would probably be more interested in you at 25 than at 35, right? So yeah, it's just about having realistic standards once you're post the wall.
So it's interesting in this manosphere that I'm not a part of. I say I'm adjacent.
Yeah.
I'm right here. And listening to a lot of it really fractured my ego and confidence. Because it's really, really hard trying to learn and then be open and honest. And then it's like, oh, you're the typical Black woman that we say that men should not want.
Yeah, the manosphere can definitely be pretty rough when it comes to the unflattering truths about dating, female nature, the intersexual dynamics between men and women. And so it does get a bad rap, right? It comes off to a lot of people as woman bashing or hating women, but it's not. It's more of an educational space for men to be able to learn the tools they need to navigate this dance between the sexes, right? A lot of men are not socially calibrated to the point of being able to protect themselves from a lot of the negative things that happen as a result of bad dating practices. And so that's really the goal of the manosphere. It's not to bash women. It's to educate men and protect men from being victims of the negative side effects or the negative side of dating.
And I hear it on a daily basis. So it's hard. So I don't know, the wall I definitely get. This is not what I get in my DMs sometimes. They be harsh. I was like, do you know me? But it is what it is, I guess.
So last thoughts on the video, and I apologize if I look a little different. I had to record this separately. I had a friend come over just before I finished the last video. But overall, I thought the interview was fantastic. I think Courtney Michelle is a very genuine person. I think her answers were honest and for the most part spot on. There were a few things that I disagreed with, but I liked her understanding that the wall is an actual thing, and that a woman's sexual marketplace value does decline, once she hits the wall. But one thing I want to say is let's not conflate a woman's intrinsic value with her sexual marketplace value, right? Those are two separate things. So a woman's value as a mother or as a sister or as a daughter or as a wife, as a member of the community, as a coworker, none of that is affected by the whole wall and the sexual marketplace value thing, right? Those are separate values altogether. There's no wall when it comes to a woman's intrinsic value. That can improve indefinitely, right? And that's the case for everyone. But there is a wall when talking about a woman's sexual marketplace value, and unfortunately that declines the older she gets. For a man, it's different, as we talked about. A man's sexual marketplace value doesn't really peak until he becomes something, until he defines himself through his purpose, right? Through his passion, or through his career, whatever makes him successful. So typically that happens later in life. So we're different in that regard. But that being said, I thought the interview was fantastic. I really like Courtney. I think she's my favorite person from the Lapeef Let's Talk network. She frequents that podcast very often. So if you want to see more of her, I would check that out. And I think We Need to Talk is doing great work on his channel. He's a great interviewer. He asks really important questions, and I can totally see him going far. So yeah, I didn't do the entire interview. I think that interview goes for an hour or so, and I only did the first 15-20 minutes. So if you'd like to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe below. I think Courtney's going to do another interview with We Need to Talk, so I definitely want to watch that. Maybe do a reaction video to that as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I do appreciate you watching, and take care, guys.